Death and ignorance in America. That is all next on The Michael Newman Show. Hello, everybody. Newman with you. I haven't been with you in a while. I've been mistreating you. I'm so sorry. But I'm here now. You can see I'm sitting. That's always fun. Didn't want to stand. I don't know. I didn't feel like it. Plus, I'm not wearing my ear things. I'm wearing the headphones. That's all good stuff there. A little change. A little things. Just do things a little differently. What do you think of that? It's fine. Do things differently. Basically, I think I'm getting fatter, so I don't want to stand up, you know. I look better when I'm sitting down, you know, and the camera's above me, so you can't see the double chins. That's how that works. So it's been a rough couple of weeks, hadn't it? I disconnect from things on the weekends. Actually, the truth is I disconnect with things on a daily basis. But last weekend we had, well, not last week. I guess it's the weekend before last weekend. We had the attacker with the jihadist with a truck from Home Depot. I'm sure Home Depot's very happy about that. Yeah. Who rented the... from where? Ah! Right, that was their response. It would have been my response as well. And then, of course, we have the shooting in Texas this weekend. So very dangerous things happening in America. But what's also dangerous are the things that are happening just sort of on a daily basis that we're getting so used to. The ignorance, the craziness that we're getting so used to that we don't even look at it as a cause, this far-off cause that perpetuates a lot of these violent problems. By the way, please go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. That's where you can get the links for today's show. I may be changing a couple of those things. I got to check out how to do some URLs and this, that, and the other thing. I may use the Michael Newman Productions website simply for production work, and then get another website for the podcast and what have you. And I may be starting some new podcasts of a new sort, just entertainment type podcasts on the on a completely separate channel. So we'll have to see how all that stuff goes. But for this point in time, your contact links for me are all at michaelnewmanproductions.com. Links for today's shows in the blog section. You can contact me via email. Just hit the contact link there. Follow me on Twitter, and please check the services link and mostly support the show because it is very difficult. By the way, I haven't been lazy. Well, I have been, but, you know, as lazy as one could be. I've actually had to work for a living, right? Got to make a little money. Got to make a little money on the side. And you would think actually doing physical labor would keep you from getting fat. No, just makes you eat more and possibly drink more. I don't know. Okay, I do know. I just don't want to answer. So, Texas church shooter, 26-year-old. He killed at least 26 people, including 8 members of one family. He's been a guy that was dishonorably discharged from the U.S. Air Force for assaulting his wife and child. So, that's an interesting question, because in most places, if you have a domestic violence type thing on your record, that shows up. Maybe it has to be a conviction. I don't know. But that shows up on your background check, and you can't get a gun that way. Maybe he's had the gun for a long time. I don't know. But that could be something that people look at as far as new gun regulations, you see. Devin Patrick Kelly, 26, a married father, was wearing, black tactical gear and carrying a military-style assault rifle when he walked into the First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs in Texas and opened fire. I heard one report that it was a Ruger semi-automatic rifle. I imagine that was a Mini 14. Just outside of San Antonio is where he's from. He was confronted by a neighbor armed with a rifle who shot him through a gap in his body armor. That's a big part of this story that I don't think is being picked up as much as it should be. I mean, that's a big part of this, is this whole thing was stopped by just not the cops, but just another guy with a gun. And that's the way Texas is. See, Texas is a stand your ground state. They have the castle doctrine there, and that castle doctrine also extends to neighbors. And we've seen that act out in the law before, where your neighbors are gone, and you hear or see somebody breaking into their home. Dude charges out there with a shotgun and shoots some people, and he's never charged with anything because he was defending the neighbor's home as they were gone. That's perfectly legal and should be everywhere. If that was the way people acted, then less of this stuff would happen. I'm surprised that there were no firearms, as far as I've heard, on any of the parishioners in the church. Lots of people dead, including the pastor's daughter, I do believe. Annabelle, I believe is her name, 14. Very, very sad. None of this stuff is good. Apparently, this guy, according to some, was creepy, crazy, a weirdo. That's from a former classmate. He was an outcast who preached his atheism online before killing these 26 people. Yeah. So he's one of those guys. He's just a hater through and through. Certainly a mental health problem. Lots of rants online. Deranged killer from Texas was a militant atheist who ranted on Facebook about stupid religious people. So a lot of this stuff is coming out early, and I really hate even talking about it because the details are so shoddy in reality. This guy certainly had a problem with violence, as he had beat up his wife and kids, was kicked out of the military for it. I believe he spent some time behind bars for it as well. So this guy was just a wacko through and through, and maybe he had something in for somebody that was at that particular church. Maybe he had some sort of run-in that a church parishioner didn't recognize as being a big deal, and it was to this guy, and he decided to follow. Who knows? Could be a bunch of different stuff. And this guy just decided to go postal on everybody and shoot up a bunch of individuals. Now, of course, Democrats are now renewing calls for gun reform after the reports of another a shooting at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas on Sunday. It's very sad. It is very sad. And it's very sad that they have to continue to bring this stuff up. Bob Casey Jr., Dick Durbin, Kamala Harris are among Democrats who urged Congress to act in response to the latest deadly shooting. Act and do what? That's the thing. Act and do what? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna act out the shooting? Maybe do some sort of passion play? That'd be nice. Everybody could dress up on the, congressional floor there, put on a show, put on C-SPAN. It'd be fun. Maybe a tap dancing type maneuver at the end. That'd be good. We'll see if you've got some moves in government. Exactly what would you have done with this guy? Look, if you're this crazy, it's a real simple equation. If you're this crazy and you're this determined to cause mayhem, you will do so, whether it's with a gun or something else. It really doesn't matter. You are going to kill if you get it in the mind that you're going to kill. And the only way to stop people like that is with another gun. But that's not a narrative that people want to hear. By the way, this is the guy's face. There you go. Can't believe he was an outcast, right? Now, a neighbor who heard this massacre unfolding went and grabbed his own rifle and tried to stop it, opening fire at the shooter and chasing him down in a stranger's truck. Okay, the man who had is not being named publicly, at least according to this story. I don't know if they've named him. I hope they don't. It's probably a good idea just to keep his name out of the books there, because the crazy left-wingers will come and attack you. So he hasn't been publicly named, but he's being called a hero after state officials described his actions during a press conference. A resident told ABC affiliate there, KSAT, that he teamed up with her boyfriend. Now, apparently this guy was there, and there was some shooting, and this lady and her boyfriend sort of came up upon what was going on. They saw what was happening, and the girlfriend apparently got out of the pickup truck, and the guy says, "We got to go after him." And the guy that was the boyfriend says, "All right," jumps in the truck, and they gave chase for several minutes inside the truck before the gunman eventually crashed the car that he was in. Authorities said the armed neighbor may have saved countless lives by opening fire on Kelly and forcing him to flee. I mean, it was a soft target. Apparently, no one was giving any resistance inside the church, and somebody came and gave some resistance, and the guy left. That's what happened. So that's a pretty big deal. The gentleman that there was an interview with the guy. Not this isn't the guy that opened fire. This is the guy, the boyfriend, that showed up and helped this guy chase this man down.
To help put a stop to it. With me here right now is Johnny Langendorf. He was driving past the church when
he looks like a Johnny Langendorf. Doesn't he? A little bit.
Saw the shooting, and Johnny, can you tell me what happened?
Actually, he looks like my friend John, a younger version of my friend John. I won't give his last name, but John, you know who you are.
Next.
No, I pulled up the intersection where the shooting happened, and I saw two men exchanging gunfire, the other being a citizen of the community. And, the shooter of the church had taken off, fled in his vehicle, and the other gentleman came, and he said we need to pursue him, and he just shot up the church. And so that's what I did. I just acted and got him off the road. And
that's a big deal. That's a big deal. You walk up on something or you drive up on something, there's gunfire going off. I guarantee you this guy's heard gunfire before. He knows what it sounds like. And if you're not expecting to hear gunfire, that's, there's a dangerous situation unfolding. And you might have some trepidation about just jumping into it. But just jumping into it is what is necessary, is what is requisite to do. I don't know if this guy was armed, if he had a concealed carry or not, but he just decided to go. Right. And I'm telling you, cops can't be there. I think the response time is like 5 to 7 minutes. Right. 5 to 7 minutes once the gunfire started. It's amazing. That's an eternity. Entire wars are fought in 5 to 7 minutes. And it's just, thank God, there was a man outside that heard what was going on and decided to run into it. And thank God for this guy as well for continuing the chase. Apparently, at the end of this, the gentleman that had the gun kept his rifle on the man in the vehicle until police got there. That's what I heard as well.
Okay. All right, Johnny, it sounds like we may be having a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm going to try to switch mics here. All right. Johnny, so tell me again, you said that you heard you saw the two men exchanging gunfire, and then one of the men, someone you recognized, jumped.
You know, I haven't heard this one. The gentleman that opened fire, the gentleman that was trying to protect everybody, what kind of gun did he have? Apparently, this guy that did the shooting was wearing some sort of body armor, right? He was wearing something. And body armor, like a bulletproof vest or whatever it is that the cops wear, generally is good. It's great stuff, up to pretty much the biggest handguns that you're going to get. But there is a whole world of difference in ballistic power between a rifle, even a smaller caliber rifle like a .223, and a handgun. The bullets are traveling orders of magnitude faster and will penetrate a lot of steel. Or a lot of armor. I had a buddy of mine. We were out shooting one day, and he had a .243, which is fair to mid-level power. It's more powerful than .223 by a whole lot. But it's a hunting rifle. It's a deer rifle. Use that a lot for the deer around here in Kansas. And he was shooting this metal target. It was just about a half-inch steel metal target. And it was a distance away. And he's got a scope on it. It's a very accurate rifle. It's supposed to be. And he kept pulling the trigger and nothing was happening. Right? What, are you missing it? We couldn't hear it. We didn't know what was going on. And so he said, well, we got to check this out. And we walked down there. He fired 3 rounds at it from 150, 200 yards away. And then when we walked up on this half-inch piece of steel target, there's 3 beautiful little holes bounced right through it. So a rifle will go through most body armor. Now, the previous report said that it caught a hole or a portion of his body that wasn't covered. And, well, that may be the case if he had a rifle like possibly another AR-15 or Mini 14 or something of the like, which can also easily be turned into something that looks like a scary assault rifle, then that is a big portion of this story that people need to know about. Because if you're going to demonize assault rifles, saying that they serve no purpose other than to kill, well, here's an instance by which they're necessary. Oh, by the way, I remember this story that, back in the day. Do you remember Los Angeles? This is a long time ago. Los Angeles, when it was a big bank robbery. 3 dudes, all in body armor. They had their bodies were covered, their faces were covered. They were carrying high-powered rifles. They had AR-15, or they had AK-47s. And they went in and they were robbing and just shooting people at random. Well, the cops showed up, right? And there's a bunch of cops. They, were right there almost immediately. And the cops, opened fire on them. Well, there's nothing the cops could do because the assailants, number one, had more firepower than they did. And number two, the firepower that the cops had wouldn't penetrate their body armor. So they could shoot them all day and the bullets just bounced off. And many police officers were wounded or killed in that instance. God, when was that? Early 90s? Mid 90s? It's been a long time ago. The cops ended up having to go to a gun store that was nearby. Thank God the gun store was nearby in Los Angeles, and commandeer something with some power, or AR-15s that they happened to be selling at the gun store that saved a bunch of lives. That's how they took these guys out. People forget about this stuff.
In the car?
No, I didn't know him at all. I didn't recognize him. He just was a member of the community. And whenever he came to my vehicle in distress, and with his weapon, he explained very quickly what happened, and he got in the truck, and I knew that it was just time to...
It's time to go.
Yes, sir.
All right, so tell me about that. Tell me about following this guy. Was it high speed? Was he driving normally all over the place? What was it like?
No, sir. He got a little bit of a jump on us, and so we were doing about 95 down 539, going around traffic and everything. Eventually, he came to kind of slow down, and after that, we got within just a few feet of him, and then he got off the road.
How did that happen? Did you guys bump him, or did he lose control by himself?
He just lost control, and then that's whenever I put the vehicle apart, because I was still on the phone with this.
He probably lost consciousness from lack of blood. I think it ended up that this gentleman that opened fire on him is the one that took him out.
The other gentleman jumped out and had his rifle drawn on him, and he didn't move after that.
Okay, so I understand you guys called police as you were chasing him. Now, did you lead them to that point? Did they meet you there?
Or we led them to there. He was headed northbound on 539, and everybody else was headed to church.
I'm wondering if it's just because it's Texas or if it's because this is such a horrible event that happened. Usually police would say, okay, well, we got it. Thanks. It's time for you to go. We don't need your help out here. But I don't know that they did that in this case. I think they said, go get him, boys.
The officers were responding to church.
So how long before police arrived at that scene?
From the time we actually stopped, it was about 5 to 7 minutes.
And so the neighbor just kept his gun trained on him that long?
Yes, sir.
All right, was the man moving? Was he injured?
No, I don't know. We didn't get close enough. We just...
Okay, well, let's go back to me here. It's a scary situation. It's a good thing that there was a guy with a gun there to end this situation, and yet none of that really matters. They're still calling for more gun control, and I guarantee you we're going to see Jimmy Kimmel with big, just tears in his eyes. Why won't you people listen to me? And it's kind of funny because that narrative started early and often with much of the mainstream media. I was watching a piece from CBS News talking about this thing, and speaking about it in, of course, very somber terms. It's as you should, and not mentioning. I mean, the piece was probably 6-7 minutes into it, and I don't know how much coverage there was previous. And they said nothing about how it came to an end. They said he got shot, then blah, blah, blah. He crashed his car and he fled. And I actually saw some places that completely, in written stories, completely disavowed all knowledge of the Samaritan going after this guy with his own gun. But in the CBS story, they bring on a police consultant to talk about this. And this is part of what the police consultant said.
The real hero of the story is that armed citizen who engaged him, literally putting his own life on the line with a heavily armed suspect, and without a doubt, saved the lives of many people. This could have been, as demonstrably horrible and bad as it was, this could have been even worse, and the body count could be even higher.
Yeah, that goes back to the saying that many people say it takes a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. I'm sure that argument will be used moving forward.
Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! They're going to use that argument, and an argument works because it's right. Damn it! So they don't want to mention those sorts of things, and I think President Trump put it in very succinct terms.
I think that mental health is your problem here. This was a very, based on preliminary reports, very deranged individual. A lot of problems over a long period of time. We have a lot of mental health problems in our country, as do other countries. But this isn't a guns situation.
It's not a gun situation. It is a people situation. Guns don't kill people. It's been said 1,000 times, but it matters because apparently we have to say it over and over again. Guns don't kill people. People kill people, and guns are simply a tool that some use to kill people. Terrorists now, especially the ISIS terrorists now, they don't use guns. They use cars and other things because the ISIS higher-ups have said, hey, don't use a gun because all they're going to talk about is guns, and they won't talk about terrorism. So ISIS figured this out a long time ago. Now, there's a couple of things I kind of want to bring up here. Of course, this incident brings up questions of gun control, and one must be aware of the attacks that will come towards gun owners and towards our Second Amendment rights. But there's some weird juju going on in regards to some of these high-profile things. A lot of stuff happening over the course of the past couple of weeks, a couple of weeks and months, and we're not getting a whole lot of good answers, right? So I'll be interested to see how far this thing goes. I mean, this huge left-wing guy going after, Christian people, probably more right-wing type people, you would think, you would imagine. A lot of attacks are just being accepted now. As long as you're attacking Republicans or white people, that's perfectly fine. And the most high-profile case in a very, very long time, of course, is the case out of Las Vegas. Where did that go? Where did that go, this whole Las Vegas thing? I mean, for God's sake. 500 some odd people were injured. Lots of people killed from this guy in the Mandalay Bay shooting from the 30th floor or something like that. It's something out of a movie. And nothing really adds up. The police released several timelines that have to be corrected because they're all false. In the very beginning, they were very forthright with information. Then they become very tight-lipped about what's going on. And some of the information that they've released is dubious at best. For instance, I don't know if you heard this, but apparently one report was, of course, they bust in. The guy's either dead. We don't know if the guy shot himself or if the police did it. There's conflicting stories on that. But you know, we found a lot of stuff, and there was a laptop, but there was no hard drive in it. There was a laptop with no hard drive in it. Where's the hard drive then? And why would he bring it? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, if their laptop is there, you apparently had to use it for something, right? And you would have to have a hard drive in it to use said laptop. I don't know what he was using it for. And why would he remove it? What would be the point of removing it? That's a little, and no one's really talking about this. A lot of dubious information. We don't know what happened. It seems, I tell you what, the Las Vegas thing seems more and more every day like the conspiracy theorists have it right. All you got to do is start looking at it. And then the Blaze has a piece here. According to Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo, which is the Las Vegas sheriff there, Stephen Paddock, the guy that shot up a bunch of people at the country concert there, the man responsible for one of the deadliest mass shootings in the U.S. was a status-driven high-roller gambler who had been steadily losing money for 2 years. Now, they're using this as motive, apparently. In a wide-ranging interview with KLAS-TV in Las Vegas that happened last Wednesday, Lombardo revealed that Paddock may have seen his image declining. That's why he did this. What does this have to do with motive? Quote, he was going through some bouts of depression, but he was status-driven, Lombardo told the TV station in the interview, which was given in an attempt to clarify the murkiness surrounding the October shooting. Since September of 2015, he lost a significant amount of wealth, and I think that may have been the determining factor on what he was determined to do. Is that kind of a first? Right? You would think if you lose them on a lot of money, maybe you would want to steal some from the casino. I don't know how climbing up on the clock tower and shooting a bunch of people at a country concert is going to make you any richer or is going to improve your status. That doesn't sound like a motive to me. It doesn't track. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So it seems like there's something deeper going on. It seems like there's kind of a cover-up and the cops are involved, and I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think we'll ever know. And as far as the political environment that we're in, more and more every day I'm hearing people that are talking about, we just got to get along. Look, if we could just see the other side, then things are going to be fine. And that sounds nice, but you're a fool. You are a fool if you think that we're still at that point in our political discussion. We're not. Okay? That ended with Steve Scalise when a crazy Bernie bro goes out and says, hey, are those Republicans there? Well, let's just start killing. Okay? It ended there. When was the last time you really heard about Steve Scalise? Or any of the background of that guy that was involved, or its connection with Bernie Sanders, and the sorts of things that the Democrat Party, the sorts of things that the progressives in this country are conditioning people to do so that they can increase their power. And that's just one of the many politically motivated incidents of violence that have been happening across the country. Rand Paul was attacked the other day, not with a gun, but with a little tackle tackle from behind, too. Okay? Rand is not a big guy. You're going to tackle Rand, you just tell him, hey, I'm tackling you, and then you do it. At least that has a little respect. U.S. Senator Rand Paul had 5 ribs fractured and a lung contusion as a result of an apparent assault on Friday by a neighbor in the Bowling Green home that he has. Spokesperson for the Kentucky junior senator said on Sunday. Now, apparently, the FBI confirmed some of the motive behind this assault on Rand Paul. According to the Kentucky news station WNKY, the FBI launched an investigation into the attack shortly after it happened. They believe the attack, which occurred Friday afternoon, was politically motivated. The Daily Caller revealed on Saturday evening that the assailant, 59-year-old Rennie Boucher, or it could be Boucher, like Dousher or Doucher. Well, the man is a registered Democrat whose Facebook page was riddled with posts voicing his opposition to President Donald Trump and the GOP. And apparently there was sort of an ongoing feud between Rand Paul, who is not left-wing at all, and this dude, and the guy just decided I'm going to attack him because that's the thing to do these days. That'll raise my credit. You know, this guy could probably run for president in 2020 now. Probably could. And then the vice president will be, or no, Secretary of Defense will be the guy that shot Steve Scalise, because that's the way the Democratic Party works. We're far beyond all of this question of can't we all just get along, because people do not look, the enemy does not care. If it was just you and me having a discussion, right? If it were just on sort of the conservative side, I have some problems with a lot of mainstream conservatives and mainstream ideas of what conservatism should be, and I have no problems having that discussion with you. And we can have that discussion. We can agree to disagree at some point. Eventually, when you go to bed that night, you're going to cry yourself to sleep knowing that I'm right. Trust me, it happens all the time. Or at least people cry themselves to sleep after meeting me. I don't know which one is more. Anyway, but people are, look, for the left, there is no advantage in having civil discourse. That's why the left has never used it. You see, they can't win on facts. They can't win on rhetoric. All they can win on is emotion, in specifically the emotion of hatred of others. It is the Nazi Party reborn. And it's all over the place in 1,000 different ways. And we'll wrap up with this piece. It's kind of a long one, so we're going to start and stop. Oh, by the way, I got a picture. This is the guy that attacked Rand Paul. He just look at him. He's just a normal looking guy. Why would he attack a Rand Paul? He looks like he's a Kentucky just gentleman, and he attacked him from behind. I do not think that shows Southern hospitality. Right. But that's what they do because people are brainwashed. They refuse to accept logic and reason no matter what it's about. A highly charged political debate between a student and his teacher is garnering a lot of attention. The video was captured. It's about 10 minutes long at the confrontation, though the student says the debate lasted longer than that. The video begins as a Latino student and his teacher debate about police brutality in America. The student cites facts that black-on-black crime is more prominent and police shoot more white people, but the teacher simply dismisses the argument and criticizes the student.
Okay, but you do know that the rate of cops killing blacks is phenomenally lower. Blacks kill blacks, higher rate. You're more likely to die from another black person than you are from a cop. And a lot of the time they're justified. Very. I know. Yeah.
No, that's well. You're just really a radical conservative. That's why you're saying these things. You're just a radical conservative. It has nothing to do with the fact that facts are facts. It has to be that, well, you're a radical conservative. How dare you use facts against me and your radical conservative facts. See, we don't need those facts. We just want our narrative to be pushed.
I'm not very radical. I'm centrist right now. There are things I agree with. I agree with liberals on things that we need.
Of course. Okay, look. That's just for argument's sake. When you get into an argument, I'm on both sides of certain issues, you see. I sometimes side with the Democrat Party, on things like drugs. I'm sure there's something else, right? Not drugs. Just don't put the drugs in there. I happen to agree, and I would go much farther, that all drugs should be and must be legal, and not only legal, but produce in mass quantities so that they're very, very inexpensive, and those who wish to do the hardest of the hard drugs can get them as cheap as possible. That way they don't have to commit crimes to go out and fill the drug habit. Then, strangely, they're probably going to die, and we don't have to worry about them anymore. But we've ended all of the theft and violence and murder that go hand in hand with a substance that people want being prohibited by the government. Do you realize, understand this, there was virtually zero organized crime in the United States previous to prohibition. That's a fact. Organized crime, the status of like these organized gangs, Al Capones of the world, that started because the government made alcohol illegal. Al Capone happened because of the government. The government did it. Okay, they are solely responsible. Because when there's a product that people are going to want, and they're not going to stop wanting it because it's been around since humans have been around, right? And they just come in and say, well, this substance is the source of all ills of society, so we'll simply make it illegal. Guess what's going to happen? People are going to violate that law and do it in amazing fashion, and people will die. So thank you much, federal government, for all your wonderful gangster crime.
Right, but when you say because you're the narrative that you're trying to push is that we shouldn't talk about oppression. No. We have to talk about oppression. I'm not. If we don't, oppression will no. That's not what I mean.
The narrative is not to talk to end a conversation about oppression. The narrative is to re-engage that conversation about oppression and recognize that you are blowing that idea of oppression up and using it, in fact, as a way to oppress other people. The conversation of oppression is the oppression in America.
Yeah, because you're perpetuating the same thing the media says, how black people are oppressed, how this is just like slavery, how cops are roaming out, and that they're right-wing death squad, that they're right-wing death squads gunning down people. No, there isn't. Most cop killings are justified.
I think he's actually holding on pretty good here. You could tell it he's getting angry, and I would be too. If you're the one in the hot seat with a whole bunch of people griping and complaining around you who do not wish to hear your side of the argument, all they wish is to attack you personally. Understand that that's what this is. That this is a personal attack. They're not They're simply not accepting his evidence. They're simply not accepting his rhetoric. They're simply not accepting facts, and they're attacking him personally. You have to understand the first thing that the teacher did is accuse him of something that is morally abhorrent to everyone in the room, and possibly even him, by calling him a radical conservative. At that point in time, at that point in this discussion, all ideas of free thought and the free exchange of ideas, raising the level of rhetoric, are thrown out the window, because there is no argument at this point. There is no debate happening. It's simply a group of people attacking and throwing mud at something that they don't like.
So FBI statistics are wrong.
No, your statistics, because it's all about who can check information.
The FBI.
It's all about where you get the information. Well, the FBI. We don't like that.
Yeah.
What you're doing is penetrating your own workforce. So you're always going to get information from establishments that are succeeded on white supremacy.
Okay, so. Okay, so any information that disagrees with you is invalid because it's received from a source like the FBI that has been created out of an idea of white supremacy. Oh, well, then there you go. So, okay, you win.
Oh my God! Seriously? Seated on white supremacy? Seated on white supremacy? White supremacy.
He is a byproduct of white supremacy. Yeah, he's. See how easily that they can themselves fall into racism as a modality by which to defend against this sort of this idea of oppression, right? You, sir, are the Latino white supremacist. You don't even like yourself. How dare you? It's not an argument. It is an attack. And when you're being attacked, there's no... I don't want to misstate this. When you're being attacked, you must engage. You must engage that attack. And you have to beat it back. The way, in this instance, to beat it back is to not engage in their conversation at all. As soon as that first thing was said, when you were called by your professor a radical conservative as a way to demean you personally, then you end any discussion of your point of view, and you simply tell the teacher, I'm going to the dean. If I have to go to my attorneys, I will do so. I will have your job for attacking me. How dare you attack? Get emotional about it. How dare you attack me? This is not a safe space. You are hurting me. My life is in danger. Throw a fit and immediately go and talk to whomever you have to. Call the police. Call the police and say that you were attacked for your beliefs. And don't engage anymore. Use the law. Say whatever you have to get them in trouble. That's what they do to you. Okay? That's what they do to you. It's rules for radicals. And it works because we won't fight them on their terms. It's the same thing with any other war. Okay? How do you win a war? You kill the other guy before they kill you. You have to apply more force along the same lines as the other person does. Overwhelming force. If you're not willing to do that, you will lose.
Right. So when statistics show that more whites are killed, you don't think that if they were white supremacists, they want to cover that up and make black statistics higher to make black people? Yeah, but figures have been adjusted.
So the point is how black people live.
They're talking like other blacks.
You're talking about numbers, but you're not thinking about percentages. If you have 12...
Okay. No, that's not at all what we're talking about. The vast majority of African Americans in this country, vast majority, are killed by other African Americans. So, if it's within their own group, then the percentage of blacks killing blacks in relation to blacks being killed by police officers, or even if you lump in every other type of crime, the percentage of blacks killing blacks is far higher. It far outpaces any of the other data on the books. That's the whole point.
29% of people in this country identify as black. And out of that 12.9%, the percentage...
Identifying as black. You see, you have to protect Rachel Dolezal. Yes, we love Rachel, and she identifies as black, and we will take her. Ha ha!
Of that
That's just a fact. That's just a fact. They're killed with impunity. That's just a fact. No, it's not. That is a narrative. And that's the problem that we're facing today. That is a narrative. That is a propaganda story used to oppress a massive group of people. Okay? What do you mean oppress a massive group of people? Victimization as a bludgeon, as a tool for power, to gain power for yourself, to gain position by being treated by a different set of rules. That's what victimization does. You let people get by with stuff because they've been victimized, right? You let people park in the front of the parking lot because they're handicapped. So they live by a different set of rules. It's not first come, first serve. It's first come, first serve amongst that group. Okay? It's the same thing with this victimization narrative. If you can claim that you were victimized, then you get to live by an alternate set of laws and rules as the rest of us. Ergo, changing the baseline of activity or conduct in the United States and oppressing anyone that's not in your group, because you thereby have the privilege to act more raucously than the other group of people. You are oppressing through claiming oppression.
No, cops just don't see it.
You're skewing the statistics. You understand what I'm saying? So like,
Okay, but the statistics between blacks between cops killing whites and cops killing blacks have been adjusted due to the population. They have to. A. B. Cops don't just go out and right-wing death squads and gun them down the street. There's always reasons. Yes, there are some cases where the cops genuinely fucked up, and 9 out of 10 times they end up getting in trouble. Those guys who choked out what? Eric Garner, the guy who said, I can't breathe, they got arrested. Yes, they do actually. And the cop is being investigated. And the cop is being investigated. Yes, it would have. Yes, it would have. There was a guy in Missouri. There was a guy in Missouri who went on a killing spree. There was a black guy in Missouri who went on a killing spree. Killed 8 people with killed 8 people and the sheriff. He killed 8 people and the sheriff.
What about the white guy in Los Angeles that was beat to death by the cops? White guy with red hair screaming for his mommy as they beat him to death. What about that guy? I mean, you don't get any whiter than a ginger. And that didn't really matter. The cops, apparently the guy had a mental disorder or whatever it is. They just beat him to death. So it wouldn't happen if you're white? Yeah. You can't tell. You know what? I'm going to end it right there. We've got 6 more minutes of this garbage. We're going to end it right there because you can't tell me any different. And that's the only thing that matters. You can't tell me any different. All right, we've been going like almost 50 minutes now. I didn't plan on going that long, but thank you for sticking around. If you did so, please go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. Get the links for today's show. You can also contact me via email. You can follow me on Twitter, Newmaniac1. Check the services link. I can do some voiceover and many different things for you. And most importantly, please, please, please support the show. Click the support icon. It'll take you to Patreon. You can support me for as little as $1 a day. More would be fantastic. Have a great evening.
Wow, see ya.